Ladies and gentlemen, brethren all, welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, a casual conversation around Freemasonry. First, it's important to note that our thoughts and opinions are our own and do not reflect those of our Grand Lodge or respective craft or concordant bodies. Please connect with us and ask questions via our website at theworkingtoolspodcast.com. Hello from the Working Tools Podcast. I heard a comment recently from someone that said, I've had enough trying to decide if I want the good news first or the bad news first, and so let's just call it all news. With that in mind, here's the news. We have some unique shows coming up for 2024. We're going to be looking at the book Freemasons for Dummies and do another deep dive into every chapter, which will cover many weeks of information. Then in February, we'll be on site for the 2024 Conference of Grand Masters, hosted in Seattle, and to meet our listeners, interview attendees, and try to capture some of the ideas promoted at this distinctive event. We've been blessed with many excellent hosts over the last 5 years, and while some have been founding members, some have been on multiple shows, and still others have offered sage and kind wisdom to our humble production, we were crestfallen to learn that our good friend and brother, Jared Dunham, will not be able to continue with the show. We were uplifted to learn that he will be increasing his focus on a new venture, and we're excited to learn more about that in the future. Jared provided so many unique viewpoints and distinctive interpretations, we all enjoyed his contributions. As I personally mentioned in my favorites parts show in December, one of my favorite parts has been Jared's exasperated sighs, as I called him, which we all knew meant that a golden nugget of Masonic enlightenment was about to be laid upon us. We will all miss you, brother. I hope we can convince you to make a few guest appearances in the future. So, as a small tribute to his contribution, and especially his friendship, here's just a few minutes I found from the wrap-up of Whither Are We Traveling series, where Jared really sums up the ideals of Freemasonry that I think we can all agree on.
This is the perfect way to summarize up the last few chapters with this whole concept of, because every time we talk about our membership problem, it's like, well, let's try this and let's try that. And, build a new website because, this generation doesn't do anything unless they see it on the internet and stuff. And I'm like, how about we just go back to the basics and actually do what we're supposed to be doing?
Right.
Go to lodge, do our memory work, do our ritual work well, live by the standards that we talk about ad nauseum. Like, let's just, if set a good example and it will attract people. Yeah. I know it sounds really stupid because I always say it's just, follow the rules, follow the tenets. We talk about self-improvement. How many people actually can talk about concrete steps that they've taken to better themselves? The one I always bring up is, what was the last book you read? Do you actually go out of your way to, when something upsets you, or, like I'll use an example here in town. Here in town, we have a bike lane that went in, and it is not liked by people in town. They're like, oh, there's better ways of spending the money and stuff. And so before I formed an opinion, I went into and looked at the financials of how it was paid for and stuff, and realized that most of the money we didn't raise. It's actually federal and provincial funds that were given to us specifically for this purpose. So rather than be, going off half informed about it and complaining about it, I went in and did the research and learned a little bit more about it. And I think that's one of the things I want to see people doing more of. And I think that's something that Freemasonry teaches us. Because I find it interesting in here is he has this line that, Freemasonry has not been tried in the balance and found wanting. It has been found difficult and not tried. And I think that's exactly what the problem is that people come in, they expect it, they expect to go through the 3 degrees and that's it. They know everything. They've learned the secrets and they don't want to put any more effort in. And I think that is an issue we need to deal with, is that once you've gone through the 3 degrees, that's not the end of it all. That's just the beginning, and then once you've done your third prove up, and it's, taken you however long to memorize and stuff, you're not done. That's not the last time you're going to have to try and push yourself to memorize stuff. It's just that this is an example of what's expected of you, and just, get used to it. Thank you for joining me in the reading room today. I look forward to seeing you next time.